OK, so you're going for a job at a very famous hotel, and then you just look at the small print in the application and you read this: no unusual hairstyles, no spiky hair, and no afros. Well, that was the policy that stopped one job seeker pursuing a role at one of the world's most famous hotels.
Jurelle Jules says that rules like those which are in place at the Ritz in London are keeping black people out of the best jobs, and it's a sign that discrimination persists in the workplace. Well, we've just heard from Ratzi, obviously, our entertainment correspondent, who just spoke about exactly this issue. Jurelle, thank you for coming in. I'm interested because you chose to look at the policy, didn't you, before you went to talk to them? Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, because it's the Ritz, you know there's going to be a dress code to go. So I was looking at their dress code and their grooming policy, and as I was reading their grooming policy, I came across that it said for no Afro styles hair to be there. And when I saw that, I was quite upset by that, because it meant that during the process, nobody knows that I'm black. I've already been shortlisted for this process after having a telephone interview. And so when I saw the language there, I felt like it was discriminating against me, and I felt like I couldn't move forward with the job application.
Because, to be clear, Afro is simply the way the hair grows. In the same way that if I grew my hair and didn't get it cut, it would just hang down like drapes. That's how it grows. If you don't get your hair cut, it grows into an Afro, what we describe as an Afro shape.
My issue is the language that was used. The language could have been non-discriminatory. They could have said length of hair, and I would have been quite OK with that and quite satisfied.
Should have said what hair?
The length of the hair.
Length of hair, right.
Specified length of hair. But the trouble is, I think to myself, I've got daughters, and now that they've got to be approached with jobs that discriminate against them before they're able to even get into these roles.
So what did you do?
What I decided to do was I sent an email to my MP. I sent an email to the Metro as well.
Did you get in touch with the Ritz, though?
Of course.
Yes.
I
so tell us a bit about what happened with the Ritz.
So the Ritz gave me a call back. I believe that someone from their PR team decided to call me instead of the person that offered me the job. She made me aware that their black hairstylist had looked at these documents before and had approved them. And I was quite upset that they decided to use this sort of token as a way of deciding that these rules would be OK. My biggest concern was that this was done in 2021, and I feel like the language used was something out of the 70s, something that my grandparents perhaps had to face when they came here to the UK. And so I felt like most companies that I've been to haven't had policies like this. And to see something like this, it was quite surprising. It was quite disconcerting too for me as well, because I'm trying to make steps in my career, and then to come across something like this where I feel like I'm discluded.
What do you think? I mean, I have to. We'll have a statement from the Ritz in a second, but they have said that this was an old policy which they've junked, and it wouldn't happen now. But what is the problem with Afro? What do white people have as a problem with Afro hair? What do you think?
Again, I would say it's not something that I've come across before, and I wouldn't blanketly say that it's necessarily white people that have a problem with the hair. I felt like this is corporate, and for me, my biggest worry is that it's a place where I wouldn't feel welcome.
It's awful institutionally.
To feel that way. What about you, Marvin? You were saying in the break that until quite recently you felt sort of, no one ever told you to do this, but you felt compelled to straighten your hair.
Yeah, absolutely, because
Why?
in the 20 years I've been a journalist, there have been a few black female newsreaders on national television, and those that I did see mainly had long, straight hair, and I
Straightened hair?
Straightened, yeah, relaxed or extensions, and I felt the pressure to do the same. But it's in the last few years, maybe the last 5, 6 years, I've thought, you know, this is the way the hair grows out of my head, right? And Jurelle, I'm really sorry about what you went through, because what it sends is, you know, a scary message. You know, there are still issues with policies in schools where they're discriminating against young people. So how are they going to feel if that happens at school? How do they feel in the workplace?
But why do you think... Can I repeat the question? Why do you think it happens? I can't personally understand it. Why would a corporation, whether it's or a school or any kind of organisation, have a problem with Afro hair? I don't understand what the issue is.
Because simply is that the idea of black formal hasn't become accepted, something that's widely accepted.
The idea of black what?
The idea of black formal, it hasn't been formally accepted. We understand how Europeans look and are accepted in terms of being professional, but in terms of black people, that hasn't transcended yet.
Why do you think it is?
I think it's possibly because some corporate organisations just do not have a sense of wanting black people to be themselves.
interesting.
you have to conform, you have to assimilate, you have to be like us, look like us, stand like us. Yet then there is also a feeling that, absolutely. And then there's also a feeling that, you know, if you are not doing that, then you're not going to be accepted by us.
It's exactly what you said.
And how did you feel on the very first day that you went on camera with your hair in its natural state?
I was really nervous.
I bet you
I was so nervous, and I was worried about what people were going to say.
And what did they say?
But thankfully, there were no issues from the audiences, and the news editor said, "I absolutely love what you do, and I love your look, and please continue."
And
to
it's
do that."
important for representation.
Right?
And, Jurelle, so what's been the sort of conclusion? Did you end up once you challenged the Ritz, and then they eventually sort of said, "Oh," they apologised, didn't they, about the policy? Is that correct?
So they apologised in a statement, but the statement wasn't an apology to me. But what I will say is my thoughts is that I feel they need to make steps in order to become inclusive in their policy as well, and to reach out to the community and to make it accessible as well. Not so much, no one wants an advantage, but we just want to be able to compete equally footing
Absolutely.
and most of all, to be respected as well. Like our peers are.
And if they you didn't end up going for the interview at all, did you? And
no.
so, but if they were to offer you, if another job, a position came up and they were to offer it to you, would you now go and work for the Ritz? If
I would certainly have a conversation with them. But I think the change that needs to happen is education-wise. I think to just throw out another policy is disingenuous.
Well, in a statement, the Ritz London says it does not condone discrimination of any form and is generally committed to fostering an inclusive and non-discriminatory environment for all colleagues and guests. It goes on to reiterate that these are not the Ritz's, well, I think they mean current London. Ritz London's current rules.
All right.
We wish you all the best, and it's brilliant that you've made a fuss of it. Because it's important, as you say, you've got daughters, there'll be other people watching today for whom it's important to learn about this issue. Thank you so much.
Fascinating to hear about your experience as well, Maureen. It never crossed my mind that it would have been an issue for you. Thank you both.